What's going on, everybody? Today is October 7th, 2024, and me and Gina are here to hold down the fort. No Mikey, no Kyle. They've
They
both got
left
better
us
things.
all
Yeah,
alone.
that's right. They both got better things to do. So it's just me and you, Gina. So let's do it. All right. So my name is John Dunphy, joined as always by my fellow tribe mate Gina Morgino, and it's Gina's favorite day of the week, Monwan Monday.
Oh no.
And we are Strat Chat, your favorite reality TV podcast. Find us on the socials at Strat Chat Pod. All right. So let's get into it. We got to talk about some Survivor. Episode 3, which was called Belly of the Beast. I know this was a tough one for you, Gina.
It sure
Yeah.
was,
You
but it
took
was
your
also
first hit,
so predictable.
Yeah.
Like, of course that would happen.
I know. We lost Asia, so your number one pick is out. My number one pick was out week 1. It's just horrible.
It's just funny too, because like I feel like you're about to say what I was gonna say, but like we were talking about it the other day of like it was the two people that we were both the most excited to see because we are both fans of them independently of them being on Survivor, and they were both our first out. It's like cool, great.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, honestly, heartbreaking. Yeah, so we lost Asia, and I hated the way it happened too, of course, because Rome.
I know.
He's absolutely killing me, and like, of course, like he just is getting all of the power, like all of it. So that's been driving me absolutely insane. But all right, let's start at the beginning of this episode. So obviously, TK was voted out last time. We saw Gabe use his idol, even though he didn't really need to, and it was just we talked about how it was nice to see someone play an idol and like not go home with it in their pocket. But so this set things up though. After this Tuku tribal, I felt like it set up some interesting things because obviously Kyle felt like he was on the outs, and Sue and Caroline were celebrating, but Gabe, I thought there was some interesting things going on with Gabe here because I feel like TK was voted out. Kyle was his number one ally. And then you have Gabe actually now saying he wants to like keep Kyle in the game. And Kyle, I think, actually went to Sue and Caroline and was basically saying like Gabe considers you guys like his goats. Like he's just, he's just going to drag you along as numbers. And this actually now made Kyle want to go after Gabe, even though Gabe is interested in working with him. Any thoughts on this like whole dynamic between the Tuku tribe here? And like, I just think it's very interesting what's happening.
It is because like from Gabe's standpoint, it is smart because Kyle is clearly like on the outs, on the wrong side of the vote, like didn't really see what was going on. So like, yeah, of course that's a number that you want to grab and be like, all right, well, since you kind of have nobody, I will be your person. And that's now a number for me. But like, it is very interesting that he still believes he's insulated enough to go against somebody that actively wants to work with him. Like, you were just on the outside of the vote. Why do you think that these other people are going to have your best interest more than the person actively trying to work with you?
Yeah. It's very interesting. I actually think so far this season with this like new modern era, this is like, I feel like the first time or one of the only times that we're not seeing a complete steamroll because every tribe now has lost somebody.
And it's so much more fun that way. I was thinking about that when I was watching it yesterday. Like, this is the first time that I can remember, because granted, I've only watched the new era, but like, I cannot remember a time that it wasn't like, oh, this tribe lost and now they just keep losing numbers because they have disadvantages and they're down people. So like one team gets decimated and everybody else is just kind of like coasting along. With the fact that every single tribal has been a different tribe is so much more fun.
I know. 100%. It just keeps things nice and even. I get tired of those steamrolls. I hate that. Like it's boring for me to watch. I think, and
we don't get to know most of the cast that way either. And then
Yeah.
it gets to, like, one of those situations like we always talk about where you get to merge and half of the cast hasn't really played because they haven't seen a tribal, so they don't know how to, like, navigate the social end
Yeah.
of these vote outs.
Right. Right. I'm curious. So the Gada tribe, right? Um, they obviously got off to a very rough start. They went to the first tribal. Andy, obviously, we know all about Andy. What do you
Ugh.
think about Andy's game a couple weeks after that, though? Like, um, how do you think he's doing now? And you have a decision to make now that Asia's out because I didn't take Andy last week. So are
Oh,
you going
I
to take
shall be
Andy?
I shall be taking him, yes. But but yeah, his game is very interesting to watch because I don't know. Like, obviously I do think that, like, his breakdowns and stuff have been genuine, but it almost feels like they were strategic. Like, the way that we see him in his confessionals now, he seems so well insulated and has such, like, a pulse on the way that this is shaking out, that, like, the way that he talks about his social strategy moving forward, it's like, were you actually freaking out, or were you just trying to make people think you were freaking out, you know?
Right. No, it's definitely weird, and it seems like he's going to be okay for a little while because a lot of the tension in that tribe now is seems like it's between like Sam and Annika. Um,
I'm still floored that he was not sent home that first tribal. I have no idea how he
yeah.
survived that, and literally nobody's talking about him.
Yeah, now he's like seen as because I think Sam and Sierra we know are very tight,
Hmm.
and they've discussed possibly pulling in Andy as an extra number for them. Um, so I think that Annika could be definitely in trouble here now, um, because we saw some tension between Sam and Annika with the deciding which tasks to do around the tribe. Right, first it was people talking about fishing, and then Annika saying we should
Oh.
focus on improving the tribe. And Sam made me a little nervous with the way he was hacking with that machete at one point. But it seems like there's enough like chaos going on in Gata now that Andy might just be fine. After it seemed like he was like dead
Yeah.
in the water week one. So
That was also such an interesting conversation to me too, because you saw Sam being like, I just don't understand, like, why are we focusing so much on this and not on fishing? Like, we have all this other, and it's like, babe, why can't you just be like, all right, y'all take over this. I'm gonna go fish. Like, you can walk away and do a different thing. Like, why are you
right,
mad that everyone else isn't doing the thing you want to do?
right, like you're allowed to multitask.
Like,
Like
some people can go fishing. You're allowed.
right, like if you want to go fish, go fish. We'll work on the shelter. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand, but um, and then obviously you have Rachel in the middle of all that too. But
Hmm.
she seems like she's kind of floating under the radar at the moment.
Yeah.
I think she's linked um, to Annika more than anybody else, but I feel like she's still okay. I hope anyway, because Rachel's on my team.
I like Rachel. She's one of my favorites right now, I think.
Yeah, I like her a lot. Um, so okay, so we have to talk about this journey that they went on too.
Hmm.
Um, so a boat showed up at all the different camps, and basically we saw it was Kyle went for Tuku, Annika went for Gata, and Rome went for Lavo.
Hmm.
Um, and any thoughts on this little journey and like things that people shared? I feel like who was it? I noted down here that this was something I thought was funny. So Kyle goes on this journey, tells Rome and Annika that TK was the one voted out, and Rome is sitting there going, "Oh, thank God, TK! Like he was so cocky," and I'm like, "What are you
Like,
talking
the
about, man?"
call is coming from inside the house.
Right? Like you are the cockiest person here. Like talking about all the fishing and how like
Hmm.
he's the best one at it, and like he doesn't understand why no one else is helping him, and it's
That
like,
whole fishing situation was so wild because you saw people being like, he's the one catching all the fish because he's not giving up the equipment with which to fish, so we can't catch anything else. And then he's like, oh, well, since I'm the only one catching anything, I'm going to eat more than everybody else, and I'm going to make everybody else feel bad about it. Like, I'm going to eat it right in front of Asia. And it's like, what are you doing?
right,
What
right.
is this?
And I specifically remember in the episode other people telling him like, I want to try
Yeah.
fishing, like I want to go catch some fish, and him being like, oh, really? You want to try? And then just continuing to take all of the gear himself and just
Like,
stay in
you're
the
not
water.
allowed to be mad that no one's helping you if you're not letting them try.
Yeah, he like drives me insane.
He's really wild.
I have a question to ask you though, because I saw this on Twitter before, and I saw some people like actually discussing this. People are comparing Rome and how he's putting himself in the position to like be the leader and like take charge and challenges and all this kind of stuff and accumulating this power. And
Hmm.
there are people on Twitter that I've seen comparing him to Tucker from BB26 and like his
Oh,
style of gameplay. Do you see any comparison in that at all? Because people, the person that I saw on Twitter,
huh.
the main tweet that I saw was like, everyone's getting annoyed at Rome for his gameplay when it's exactly what Tucker was doing in BB26, and people love Tucker, but everyone hates Rome. And I just like, I don't know if I see that comparison. Like,
Like, it's a stretch. I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from, but to me, it was more like Tucker was just trying to like start shit and be annoying, and like
yeah,
Rome just thinks he's really good at everything. Like it's a cockiness versus like I'm just gonna be a silly, goofy guy and like cause chaos. You know?
right. Oh God, and you know we'll get there, but one of the things with the immunity challenge that really annoyed me too was
Oh yeah.
there was a point where like you had to choose one person to do the solo part in the
Mhm.
beginning, and Soul was interested in doing it, and Rome just being like, "No, I'm doing it because I know I can do it, and if you screw it up, I'll be really mad." And it's like, how do you talk to people on your tribe like that?
I don't understand what you think makes you the person to make the decision. Like I'm gonna be mad at you if you get it wrong, so I have to be the one to do it. I'm good at it. Nobody else is allowed to think that though. No one else can think they'll be good at it. No one else can vouch for themselves. It's me. This is my show now. It's like,
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
yeah, it's just very. He just really rubs me the wrong way, Rome. I
Mm.
don't know. Um, but I'm skipping over the actual task itself. So they went to this island. They had to separate Kyle, Annika, and Rome. They went off, and they all had to, risk their vote. Essentially, they would pick in this bag, and they would either get lucky and steal a vote, or they would lose their vote. If they lost their vote, they could do a second attempt, but they would risk losing their vote for two tribals in a row.
Hmm.
Of course, Rome gets the steal a vote,
Why wouldn't he?
right? And Kyle and Annika both lost their vote and decided not to go for a second try.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, and they each had kind of different strategies going back to camp. So Kyle was totally honest, told everybody I lost my vote.
Hmm.
Um, Annika first lied about losing her vote, but then she told Sierra and Rachel the truth, which I feel like. I mean, Annika, I feel like is smart. And I feel like I'm surprised that like, I can see telling Rachel, but I'm a little surprised about telling Sierra because I feel like Sierra's going to share that information.
Yeah, her whole thing was like, I just didn't want Andy to know. And it's like, okay, so do you want everyone else but Andy to know? Like, I don't know. I feel like if I don't want one person to know, I might as well not tell anybody.
Right. Right. I don't know. I thought that was a little odd, especially because she went to this journey and like told them how close Sam and Sierra were. The other people in the tribes like, oh yeah, it seems like they're like dating or something like that.
That was so funny.
And
When
then
Sam was
right,
like, I have a fiance at home, honey. Please, I'm sorry.
yeah. And the whole thing was just kind of odd to me though, because it's like, all right, if you know that these two are super tight and everybody else sees it also, like I wouldn't tell either one of them anything.
Right. You know they're going to
So
tell each other. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know. I guess maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like if you're spending all day, every day with these people, you got to be able to kind of see that Andy and Sam have gotten a little closer, maybe. And like, so I just feel like telling Sierra means that Sam's going to find out, and if Sam's
Right,
getting
right, right.
closer with Andy, I feel like that information is going to spill out to everybody. So what's the
But
point of
also, like,
lying at all?
regardless, if you tell Sierra and like, even if Sam doesn't tell Andy, that already is like, the numbers in these tribes are so small that it's like if you already know that somebody has lied,
Yeah,
that person is now a target. Like it doesn't matter. And like if I have nothing else to go off of, but I know this person has lied about something and I'm not one of the people that they told the truth to,
yeah,
you're on my list now.
yeah. I don't know. I don't like this. Um, so of course Rome also lied. He told people he lost his vote, but later he told Teeny that he did actually get the advantage and get the steal a vote. Um, oh God, and this is where it just kills me because I get I mean I suppose I get it that like Teeny feels cornered, right? It doesn't seem like she's really thrilled to work with Rome, to me. But it just feels like he has accumulated so much power so quickly that it's like, what can you do now, right? It's like, how do you avoid working with him when he's just kind of gotten all this power?
Right. It's like, even though, I completely understood, like, from the beginning, the whole thing of, like, yeah, no, we need to get Rome out. Like, he's a liability, all this stuff. But, like, if that is the person that is constantly getting all of these advantages and you know that he has all of this power, like, making any move is just going to flush it out. And then your numbers are going to get taken away anyway because he's going to use the powers. So, like, you might as well try to align yourself with him even if you don't want to for the time being until everything else is flushed out.
Yeah. I do feel like it is a little bit of scared play though, because it's like you could still have worked this, I feel like, in a way where like um I guess I guess that like so you've got Teeny working very closely with Kashan,
Hmm.
right? I think they were nervous that Rome would use the idol on Genevieve potentially, right? So like, what do we do in that case? But I still feel like Teeny and Kashan could have teamed up with Soul and Asia, right? And then voted either Rome or Genevieve, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like there was still a way to do this. Now there's too many names in my head.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like this tribe was all over the place this episode.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm confusing myself. But I don't know. I felt like there could have been, if the four of them teamed up against Rome and Genevieve, I feel like they could have figured something out for this tribal and stayed like secure. Like I feel like Teeny felt like they had no options, but there was still some way to work this out and keep Asia safe.
I do kind of get why they pivoted though, because, like, I don't know, the fact that Asia was so unwilling to change what her perceived plan was, like, that is kind of a red flag to me too.
That's true. The fact that Asia was so unwilling, like the way that everyone was coming to Asia, right? I feel like Asia should have probably known that like her game was in more danger,
Mm.
and let me just not fight on this Genevieve thing. You know what I mean? Because like if Asia didn't fight back on the Genevieve thing, Asia still would have been there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Like
because that
so,
was the whole thing. Like, Teeny approached Asia in a very, is he approaching Suri kind of way of, like, I know exactly who you are. I want to work with you. This will be great. And then I don't know. It's just like the first sign of, like, hey, now we have the opportunity to work together. Here's what we're thinking. And Asia's like, nah, not doing it. It's like, okay, well, I don't know if I can trust you now, especially given the fact that Teeny knows Asia's roots and, like, how much she knows the game. It's like, all right, well, I don't know if I vibe with you not
yeah,
wanting to work with me on the first plan I come to you with, you know?
yeah. It just sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah, I don't love it. It's not my favorite.
Yeah. But so we had an immunity challenge that I thought was pretty fun. They were also
Mhm.
playing for tarps and hammocks, which is always good. Um, we've seen this immunity challenge itself before. Uh, the players basically in different rounds had to jump off this one original platform, climb up on top of a bigger platform, and then jump off of that, get a buoy, go over a balance beam, and then get to the other side. And once your whole team was a tribe was on the other side, you could do a puzzle, and whoever finished it first would win. And in this one, I gotta tell you, Gata really came back from the dead.
Oh yeah.
I thought they were going to be done. Andy was having all sorts of trouble with that balance beam.
Andy was
Um,
in rough shape this
yeah,
challenge, dude.
right. But
Oof.
I think it was Rachel that really like took it home with the puzzle for Gata. Like she did
Hmm.
phenomenal with that. And Tuku came in second, sending Lavo to the tribal council, their first tribal council. Um,
I honestly was a little surprised that this was even close at all. Like, once they got to the puzzle, it wasn't anymore. But, like, right from the jump, when we hear Kashan being like, "Hi, I learned how to swim to come on this show, so I don't know how good I'm gonna be at this." I was like, "Oh no, why aren't
yeah,
you sitting out?"
Big props to Kashan
Could
for yeah,
never be
yeah,
me. Could never be me. I would be like, no, I will take that bench. Thank you.
yeah. Oh, speaking of that, we did see so Genevieve sat out right
Hmm.
for Lavo, and we did see her searching
Hmm.
for some kind of advantage very sneakily. Um, she definitely didn't find anything, right?
No.
Didn't not that from what I saw, but I was hoping, I was wondering maybe after the fact we'd get a little something, but
I know. I
we
was
didn't see
like the way
anything.
that they edited it too looked like she was only checking that one side. I was like, go to the other side, please.
I know.
Don't miss over there.
Check the whole bench,
Please check.
but that would have been fun. I will say so. After this sent Lavo into like they had to do their game talk now because first time going to tribal. What are we gonna do? And I will say that I was very impressed with Teeny here because Rome has been the guy that feels like he's the leader of this tribe. At least he thinks that, and he's
Hmm.
been the one getting all the advantages, getting all the power, and we've seen him be very cocky. So I would have, assumed that he just wasn't going to take any game talk from anybody,
Yeah.
and he was so set on going for Asia, right?
Hmm.
Um, but Teeny actually did a great job in getting Rome to switch and say, no, like let's go for Seoul instead. Um, Obviously, because of how hard Asia fought on the Genevieve thing, like we
Hmm.
were saying before, like it ended up switching back to Asia. But I think it really said a lot about Teeny's ability to like get into people's heads and put out a really good argument for what they think should be done, um, to get Rome, this big cocky guy, to
Yeah.
switch up so quickly. So huge props to Teeny.
I'm gonna be so honest. Teeny is my favorite person in the season right now. I really, really love what I'm seeing from them. Like just
Oh yeah,
like the social end of this game on lock. Like I am really, really excited to see what comes next.
I agree because I feel like we haven't gotten to see a ton of Teeny yet, but I agree. I was super impressed by them in this whole. I
Mhm.
think, especially if they can make it to merge, and like now you've got other options and like you can build other relationships. I can't wait to see what Teeny does
Yeah,
as the game goes on.
I'm really, really
So,
excited about it.
um, also, I love Soul being able to see straight through Rome's bullshit.
Yeah, just like I always get nervous when people are like, "I was reading their body language." It's like, "Oh no, you're one of those." But like right from the jump, he was like, "This guy's lying.
Yeah,
He's making shit up." I was like, "Oh, okay, great. We love
uh,
to see it."
yeah, I really like Soul too. I really do.
He's
Um,
another one. We have seen so little of him, but everything that I've seen, I'm like, I would like to know more about you
right,
very soon.
right. Um, Yeah, what did you think of this tribal council? It was interesting. Kashan brought up the core four thing, which I
Hmm.
guess is just what Kashan, Teeny, Rome, and Genevieve.
Hmm.
But was anyone like was Asia ever in a conversation with Kashan and Teeny where they referred to a core four? Like, I'm curious, like if that was the
I
first time that Asia and Seoul had ever heard that
well, I
phrase used before, or
I remember in the first episode because I remember laughing because Teeny was talking to, I believe, Genevieve being like, yeah, I think me, you, Kashan, and Asia, like that's the group that I feel really, really solid about. Like that's what I want the alliance to be. And I laughed because I was like, oh my god, they literally used my draft team and created the alliance. Like my draft team is the alliance. That's so crazy. And then all of a sudden now Asia's out and Rome is in. And I think it has a lot to do with like the powers that he's getting. And like I think this episode really is what changed that. But I don't remember if we saw any conversation prior to this where Asia was brought in
Mhm.
to the three. So I don't know if that was like, oh, all of a sudden now I'm out of the alliance I was supposed to be in, or if it was the first she was hearing about it. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and maybe Teeny just is that good because I remember them saying last episode, like when Teeny and Kishan got caught looking at the box that
Ugh,
he had with the idol.
it
I
still
remember,
makes me itchy.
I know, right? And I remember Teeny saying, like, I can talk my way out of anything. But I'm almost in the same way. I'm a little surprised that Rome is so willing to go forward with Teeny and Kishan, knowing that like he
Yeah.
gave very sensitive information to Teeny. Teeny immediately told somebody else, and now there were two people that were aware of Rome's, advantage before he even got to read it himself.
And we saw in that episode Rome being like, well, I guess now I know I can't trust Teeny. And like it was this whole big thing where I was like, oh shit, like Teeny's in trouble, Rome clocked them, like all this stuff. And now all of a sudden, like that turned so quickly.
Yeah. So maybe Teeny just really is that good. But yeah, we had a vote. The votes got read out. Rome, which did not count because Rome played his idol for himself.
Mm-hmm.
No surprise there because it was only good for one tribal. Votes were Rome, Genevieve, Seoul, and then the next three straight were for Asia. Which also, I mean, I guess other people were aware, right? Because Rome did fess up to Teeny and Seoul kind of clocked it. But like, it was just funny to me that he was lying to everybody about how he didn't have a vote, and then we had 6 votes read out. So it's kind of like if I was everyone in the tribe, I'd be like, wait a minute, something's not adding up here. And Rome's the only one that went on a journey. So
I'd be very interested because I remember something like that happened last season where like Emily clocked the amount of votes that were read out when they went back to the beach. So I'm interested to see if at the top of the next episode we see somebody noticing that.
Right. Yeah. But I guess we'll see. The next on looks pretty good. Well, actually, the next on looks a little scary.
I'm very confused about the next on.
Yeah. Obviously, we see Rome and Seoul still tensions high, and I'm assuming that has a lot to do. Oh, it looked like Seoul, was trying to like take a walk on his own. And Seoul was pretty much just like, can I just like have a minute?
Mm-hmm.
And Rome being like, no, this is Survivor. I don't have to do that. And I guess Rome is just following Seoul around because he did say in this episode that we're talking about, like, oh, the second I use this, it goes back out onto the island, and now Seoul can find it. Mm-hmm. So I guess he's just never going to let Seoul have a single second by himself.
But like, Rome, what do you think is going to happen if you're just going to piss people off?
Yeah.
Like his social game is really bad.
Yeah. But I don't know. And then the more concerning part of the next on was at the Tuku camp, because we just see them talking about how they found Sue and there was blood everywhere, but we don't actually see Sue in the next on. So like, what the hell is going on?
Yep. And then even like, I was so confused because the clip that they then like went to where they were like, look, there's blood everywhere. I was like, that doesn't look like blood to me, but maybe I'm crazy. Like, I'm very confused as to what's happening.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm
very concerned.
I'm like pretty nervous. All right. Well, I mean, honestly, I think that's all I had for this episode. We don't have any new updated numbers from Mikey for our fantasy drafts because Mikey is traveling home from Japan. So we don't really have anything new. We just, other than that Asia left, so Gina's team did take a hit.
Yeah, what else?
But hey, listen, now you get Andy, so you still got a full team.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I purposely chose to stick with only 3 players because
that really is crazy. Like, I would rather have nobody than have Andy. What do you mean? He's not that bad.
I don't know.
I think things are looking up for him.
Yeah, he'll probably be fine for a while. We'll see. But okay, I guess that's it. What else do we have going on? So tonight, at around 9:30, I guess we could have even done it earlier, but at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be discussing the latest episode 7 of the Challenge 40, and there wasn't really much that happened in that episode, to be honest.
Listen, all I care about is that I was unscathed in this episode.
So was I, and that's probably the real reason that Kyle's not here tonight is because
he couldn't hack it.
Yeah, he took both hits in the Challenge 40 this past week. So Gina and I will be back to talk about that in a little bit. Make sure you come hang out with us. Sorry, I have the Yankee game on over here also.
Great.
For some reason, my phone just got disconnected from my TV, so that's why the sound came on. Sorry about that. But yes, so come hang out with us. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be talking the Challenge 40 right back here. And find us on the socials at StratChatPod. I think that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Come back in about 30 minutes, okay? All right.